Let me make sure it's kick and not switch again. Just wait for it to pop up and we should be good. Yeah, YouTube is on.
I don't see kick yet.
Yeah, kick's normally a couple of seconds behind for some reason. Yeah, no, kick's there as well.
Yeah.
I can't see YouTube. Oh yeah, I can. Yeah, right. Cool. Okay. Hi guys. This is going to be a fun, very fun packed episode. Nice and sharp as well. We've got both me and Go need to. We've got like a hard stop in 2 hours. I believe both of us are raiding on Cata. Not together,
I've
but
got Sinestra and Nep to do still this week. So we got the fun bosses left to do.
Nice. So 2 hours. Want to cover as much as possible, and it's going to be, yeah, a pretty big episode. Yeah. And Josh, thanks for coming again.
Mate, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me back. Always fun to talk to you two guys.
Always fun to have you.
Can we refer to you as down count for this episode?
Yeah, I know. Now that I've had to flip my name. Yeah, it's the first time I've ever named a character in game, like after whatever my fucking brand is or whatever. Like I've always been a big like just name your character whatever, like RP names, funny names, whatever. I've never been like countdown or down count or whatever in game. And for Phase 4 or SOD, I was like, I changed servers and I was like, oh fuck it, I'll just, I do know a few people on this server. I'll just make it so that if people like drive by me, like if you get a really obvious personalized license plate and your mates drive by you and they go, oh, there's Josh, whatever. So I went down count and all my characters are called down count because I had to go down count because I was saying to the guys like, I'm pretty sure now this might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure countdown for whatever reason is a blocked name. Like you can't create a character called Countdown with any variation, with all the special characters and all that shit, because it's like on the banned or the blacklist or the block list or whatever. I have no idea why. There are some random like inoffensive words that they have blocked in the name creator, and I don't know why. But anyway,
are they offended by a popular daytime Channel 4 TV show? Is that what the problem is?
I can only presume. Exactly. It's their revenge.
Cool. All right. Look, so yeah, we got a lot to get through. Ordinarily, Go does the intro, but I'm going to do the intro today because I feel like the start of the episode is going to be Phase 4, and as many of you know, I'm not playing it at all. So I'm going to be kind of a spare part while these guys hash out their frustrations or their excitement for Phase 4, and I'll just chime in as and where I can. So Go, if you want to do the housekeeping, general stuff, and then I'll let everyone know what we're going to be talking about.
I thought it was all included, like the intro and the housekeeping is all one thing. It's a package deal, bro. You can't split it up.
I can't do too much, mate. All right, I'll do it all. Okay, no, I'll do it all. Forget it. I'll do it all. Guys, so if you enjoy the podcast every week, obviously we appreciate all the support, just you watching. And watching the VODs back and all of that. But if you want to support extra and you want to super chat, be sure to super chat a question, because the super chat questions all do get answered, obviously. If it's a question that's not a super chat, we may miss it. Although if we don't miss it, we'll answer them as well, of course. But as I say, that's the best way to support the channel, is bang those super chats in. If you're watching on Kick, obviously gifted subs, and we'll do loads of Jaeger bombs. Let's go.
Yeah.
No, maybe. Yes, no. Might do a few during the podcast. We'll see how it goes. But what we're actually talking about today...
You do one, I'll do one.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to do one later now. Now you've called me out.
All right. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a big episode. There's a lot going on in WoW, no matter what iteration of the game you play. And like I've said on the podcast loads of times, it's not about this game's dead and the other game's amazing. It's about... while you pay for your sub and you've got all of these options open to you, why not try them? Why not play them? And now's the time to do that. We've got Phase 4 of Season of Discovery. We've got Cataclysm, obviously Phase 1 in full swing with so many quality of life changes that it is just so easy to gear up to start raiding. Like, literally, you could start on Cataclysm today and be raiding tomorrow, assuming you're going just from 80 to 85. The 85 gearing is just ludicrously fast. That's why so many of us raid on multiple characters. And then this month, we've also got something that we never talk about. We never, ever talk about retail on here, but I'm going to probably struggle not talking about retail because I have absolutely fell back in love with it. And I mean, like, every second I'm not raiding on Cata, I'm on retail, getting ready for the war within. And I'll talk a little bit about it later and what I'm actually doing. But I'm playing it as a casual, you could say. You know, I'm just enjoying it as a side game rather than, you know, trying to get the best gear and clear mythic raids and all that. That's not how I'm playing the game. I'm playing the game for me and doing some of the things that I want to do. But we're going to talk a little bit about the pre-patch and what the pre-patch brings and how that's going to actually change maybe why you should try it and why the pre-patch would be a good time to try it because of the pre-patch event, war bans, quicker leveling. I mean, there's so much. Getting the Dragonflight style riding, increased just standard riding in terms of speed and everything. So there's a lot. So they're the general topics. We're going to start with Phase 4 of Season of Discovery because that's probably the hottest topic currently. And then we'll go into a little bit about the pre-patch for War Within. And yeah, generally why I think you should actually give it a shot.
It's weird because you've been harping about MOP, and I feel like you're not going to talk about MOP at all this episode because you're all War Within now. It's weird. I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah, well, I've still been playing MOP on Stormforge, not quite as much, I must admit, since retail. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of the things that I love in MOP. I've been doing in retail, like pet battles. Judge me, I don't care. I love the pet battle system. I think it's a great way of just getting some XP, and I find it quite fun. So I've been doing a lot of pet battles.
I must say, pet battles have, like, I feel like they've sort of bucked the trend and ridden the wave now that people have come around on it. Now, I've never done a pet battle. I don't have a horse in the race, but like I see far more sort of, you know, hesitant positivity about pet battles when I see chatter about them now, as opposed to people who just bashed them years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They should have brought
find it
those
fun.
in TBC.
I think they should have. They should have made, pets just useful. Yeah, these pets that you can physically collect in Classic, they should have added pet battles. Honestly, I like it. And as I say, I've even been doing like my Warlords a Draenor garrison, getting treasures and garrison resources and all of that. But as I say, I'll touch on that a bit later on. I don't want to steer the conversation too far away from Phase 4 because I feel like that's probably what most people want to hear about at the moment, with it being fresh out of the gate, you know.
My bad.
So I'm gonna just let it over to you guys. Like what you're thinking of Phase 4 so far? Is it what you expected? Is it lackluster? I don't know. I have no idea.
Go ahead,
Go, you
Josh,
start
take it
up,
away.
mate.
Oh, okay.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, no, we're both too much gentlemen. It's been great for me. I've been able to just log on and go around and do the old quests, the same old quests that are out there in the world. It's nice that there's a little bit of XP boost, but I'm still kind of running shy on quest. I'm level 57. I've done one dungeon, like a full Strath run, Undead and Live, and that was a good amount of XP just in there. That was like a full level from that, and I did, I think, 3 quests in there. So it's like dungeons, huge for quests, like XP and all that stuff. But the open world, I think, could use a boost. I know a lot of people are like, the quests, they're there for a reason. You're supposed to be going slow and going around the world. You're not supposed to just sit in one quest hub and be able to get 5 levels like Cata. But I mean, it's a little bit slow, but it's also chill at the same time. Like going from Winter Spring all the way down to Ungoro and then going all the way to the Plague Lands. That takes a long fucking time. So my leveling's been slow, but on the other hand, I do kind of like completing zones. So I'm really like trying to slow myself down, not rush to 60 in the first day and farm all my prebis the next day. It's going to take me the 2 weeks that they gave us to gear up for Molten Core to launch, to really get everything that I need to do. I like that rushed feeling though sometimes, like when it is like, yep, the raid is available right on launch. You have to get there, you have to do whatever you can, and then go in there with like limited gear and stuff. I like both things, both sides. Like I would prefer it that way, but it is kind of nice to be able to sit back and chill and take it a little bit casual this time, since I am playing Cata too. So I'm still raiding 3 nights a week, and then the other nights I get to take my time and level it up.
It's it hasn't bothered me as much. It's one of those things, like I wouldn't go as far as like calling for them to increase the experience rate or whatever. I mean, obviously by the time they get around to it, everyone will be 60 anyway. But like, I mean, I'm kind of, I could go either way on it. Like I've been enjoying the kind of chill leveling, like, and I've done everything. It's funny because one of my frequent guests on my show, Ubiquitous, sort of has fun calling out the community a little bit where, we do sit around and scream at Blizzard to vary it up in the leveling process and be like, don't make incursions spammable, make quests rewarding, blah, 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 as though we're going to go out there and quest and, have a variety of experiences during our leveling curve. But at the end of the day, whether it's incursions or dungeons, most people are spamming one thing just in the race to 60. So, they'll go there and do 45 BRDs and Scholos or whatever it might be to get to 60 and do that ad nauseum. But then, in the same breath, complain about incursion spam, which I do appreciate the irony of. But like, to be honest, I've always said I'm a bit of a weird WoW player. Like I don't care about getting to 60 as quick as possible, and I've been doing a bit of everything. Day one, launch day, I know shit. I did a Sunken Temple. I did 4 arena runs in BRD. I went out and herbed for 2 hours. While everyone's racing to leveling, I didn't get 1 experience point. I just went out and herbed for 2 hours to chill out. I world PvP'd for like half an hour, just fucked around with people. Couldn't have slammed on the brakes more and had a fucking blast. But again, I get it. I'm an outlier. I'm very, very different. And it's really evident to me that I am very different to how other people treat the game because, like, in one of those BRD runs, the first group I'd got into for BRD, we had a few guys in voice and we had a snafu with, like, our tank wasn't really, like, great guy, listener in my show. Our tank wasn't really a tank. He was an arms warrior who was like, look, I can just slap on the runes and we'll try and do it that way. And we were like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, let's just see how it goes. And, we had a shadow priest just fucking mind searing straight off the bat, wanting to blast. They wanted to AoE clear as soon as possible. These guys were pumpers. The tank and I were not. And it was like really giving them the shits that the tank couldn't, like, hold threat and AoE tank off instant AoE pulls. And they sort of, like, no one said anything bad, but you could tell they were cracking the shits. We were different players, and it was just like, hey guys, do you mind if we get a new tank? Because, like, we kind of want to blast, like, we're here to level. They said it a little bit more abrasively than that, but nothing too bad. And we're like, you know what, that's fine. Just different mindsets at the end of the day. And we split ways, and he and I, the tank and I, went off and went a bit slower. We found another group that suited us really well. We did sort of slightly slower pulls and had a great time, and those guys would have found another tank and absolutely fucking blitzed through the place in 3.5 seconds. And it just comes down to the mindset that you want to bring to the game. And I just sort of always promote to people, like, whether or not people will follow this advice, like, you don't have to keep up with the Joneses. You don't, you're not a gaming god just because you got to 60 in as quick as possible. Like, there's a lot of probably very average players that pass up fun along the way to 60 just in the name of keeping up. And it's like, I try to tell people to stop and smell the roses, and they tell me to go fuck myself because they want to be a god tier gamer. And I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you don't have to be a grandpa like me, but it is rewarding as well. Like, I'm only level 50. I just dinged 55, and it's, day 3. I barely played yesterday. I watched 5 hours of rugby, watched your boys England go up against the All Blacks, Scotty, and the Wallabies get a scare from Wales, and podcasted for 3 hours. So, like, I'm just taking it easy, and I'm really enjoying it so far, but we'll get into the minutiae of the phase in a little bit.
How did Sunken Temple feel? I heard that you got like a level and a half of XP from doing a full run.
Yeah, I would have if I wasn't a dickhead who died on 2 bosses because I'm a fucking idiot.
Oh, no.
Oh, and died on a 3rd and had to beg for a B-res, and luckily someone bailed me out. I haven't done Sunken Temple very much. I'm learning a new class. I'm shit at the game, all those factors combined. But, like, yeah, I got over a level and a bit just from, missing out on 2 bosses. So fucking trust me, guys, if you see a Sunken Temple and you can go, it's exactly like Noma. It's exactly like BFD. The experience is more than worth it. Just do it.
They should take some learnings from Mop Remix there, actually, and they should have the bosses drop XP tokens. You know, so because
Yeah,
you're all turning up to a raid, and like, yeah, if you die because of the healer and you lose all of that XP, that's pretty rough. Whereas if the bosses actually dropped a token you use that gives you XP,
yeah, it feels really bad, and it is definitely something I wish they would have addressed. It's probably a little bit late now, but like a lot of people were complaining, not just in that sunken temple the other day, but also like through the phases, just going like, "Fuck, man!" Like that's a lot of experience to miss out on because I died at the last second when the boss was about to go down and I didn't get a heal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be easily solvable. That they could do. So, okay, all right. So, general leveling experience, putting that aside, what about like the runes? Not necessarily, I'm not talking about the power of the runes, but the acquisition. I noticed, again, as someone who's not even, I've got no intentions of playing Phase 4, nor have I even, logged in to even have a look. The runes seem to have been found fairly quickly. Like, was there any interesting ones this time round, or were they all pretty boring and...
No, I mean, every class has, we've got like, you've got your ring runes, which is basically, they're like your quote unquote boring ones, which just give you your hit chance. And,
sorry, I meant
I
meant the acquisition. Yeah, I meant like the acquisition of the runes. So like, is there the Dark Horseman, like big chains to get though, when you had to get that rune, is there any interesting ones in this phase?
Oh, I haven't actually fully checked in on everything yet. Go will know more than me. Like I said, I haven't even thought about sort of going out and getting a rune yet, but I'm around now that I'm 55. I should look into it. I just presumed there was going to be, unfortunately, that they might have taken the same route as they did in previous phases and made the runes be something that you don't pick up at the start of the phase, more towards the middle and the end. But I don't know what's going to be required of me. Go.
I've done 2 of the Druid runes. I guess 3 if you include a ring one. But the swipe rune was one of the first runes found, I think, for druids. And you just kill mobs, it drops the item, you equip the idol, and then it has you do like a task, which is par for the course for all the phases.
You sleep the mobs, don't you? Is that the one? Is it in Ongoro Crater? You sleep them and then kill them or something.
Sleep them and then kill them while they're slept, or hibernated, whatever. Yeah. So that one was pretty easy. That was like you could do that right on launch and go over there, no problem. The Starfall rune took about 2.5 hours for somebody to figure it out. There's a level 58 elite in Winter Grasp, and you just kill the elite and then it drops the Starfall rune.
Crikey, so how'd you get to Winter Grasp in SOD?
I don't know.
I
don't know.
That's do you need summoning to Winter Grasp or something? Like, is the battle? What if the battle's on?
They should have put the PvP event in that cave from like Moonblade and Feralus, that Timber Mall cave. That would have been sick. But that was another easy rune.
Did what I say just go straight over your head? I feel like you just didn't understand what I was saying.
Something about summoning to Wintergrass, but I don't know. I'm thinking about these runes.
You mean winter spring?
You talking about the spring?
Oh,
yeah.
fuck. Yeah. God damn it. Too many zones that are named the same thing. Come on, Blizzard. No, but I found one ring rune like half an hour ago. I was doing a quest in winter. Fuck, now you got me thinking about winter, spring, not grass. Okay, winter, spring. I was doing this quest up north, and an alliance druid like motioned for me to follow or whatever the fuck. I was like, what's this cunt want? Like, okay.
Oh, that's danger.
Yeah, I was like, he's gonna lead me into a fucking trap. I was like, but I'll fall for it. Like, what do you want me to like fall into? So I followed him over, and he just like pointed at a rock, and there was like the feral specialization ring rune was in a book in that rock. And I was like, oh, okay, that was pretty sick.
So it wasn't a trap. That's nice.
No. And I don't know how to get the resto rune, but I haven't heard of any long quest chains or anything like that for runes.
Brandon's saying the Warrior Shockwave quest line was wild, apparently. It was just they seem to get discovered quick, and I mean, it's one of those... I know, like, we got the gist of it now. I feel like the runes... I think this is part of the reason I'm not playing, is I feel like the rune system was great in phase 1, and then just every phase it just started to become too much for me. Like, I don't know whether it was a win or not.
Look, I sort of want to... People like dunking on runes a lot, like in terms of the acquisition now, and I do get it. Like, as someone who's just leveled a shitload of characters over the last 3 weeks, yes, like catching up with runes is tough. It takes a very long time. You know, it kind of offsets the increased experience rate when you factor in how long it takes to get all your runes. It's almost like the experience rate didn't change because it just takes so fucking long to set up your character. But like, I sort of challenge people to remember, like, I don't know, runes, they were fun the first time. They were. If you just had one character, one main character through SOD, getting all these runes and doing the shit, the quests and the class quests and the things you have to, you know, go and do and put the time in to find these abilities was fun the first time. It just really wasn't fun the second time. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it really is like, imagine if in vanilla WoW, you know, there was no class trainer. You didn't learn your abilities by just going to the capital city and buying them from someone. Like, you know, you had to, every time you set up a character, like there's key abilities that you really need to make your character, you know, you have to go out and get them and find them as opposed to just being given them. You know, that second, third, fourth time you do it, it's like, it's just so tedious and it feels bad. I don't know how you solve that, like, unless you do something that, like, hey, if you've leveled a character before and you've gotten these runes and it shares a similar quest line, like there are some runes that share the same shit to do. Maybe you could just buy those ones if you unlock it on subsequent characters. But like I said, it's all done now, so it's not, nothing's going to change. But yeah, it was fun the first time. It really was. I enjoyed it, but like pulling teeth after that.
It just becomes a tick box exercise, don't it? No, it's like, oh, I've leveled a character. I'll go on here. I'll look at which rooms I need to go, where I need to go, you know, to get them. It's just literally a tick box exercise rather than like a fun way to acquire your abilities. But
my biggest complaint, just 2 seconds, when we eventually look back and review SOD, I'll definitely be saying this. I wonder if other people will be saying this. My biggest complaint about the runes and the rune system, when all is said and done, will be that to combat what it eventually became, which was everyone just looking it up on Wowhead, how to get these things, as opposed to actually doing the discovery, which was the point of the whole fucking server. I truly think they made the runes too obscure to find. I think that they didn't lay enough like simple breadcrumb trails to follow for the vast majority of runes. There were some easy ones to get where like you see a character who's like, hey, I heard a rumor about this thing off an island, and you go check it out and you do it. But like 80-90% of the runes were like, you look at how to get them, and I scratch my head going like, how the fuck did people figure that out? Like that to me is why everyone's on Wowhead looking it up and defeating the purpose of the season, because they should have dumbed it down. They really should have.
Yeah, I would have almost had them as less of the complicated stuff and more it's dynamic on character creation. You know, like if I could make the perfect season of Discovery, you know, when you create your character and then it's predetermined where your runes come from at the point, you know, let's say there was a possible 150 locations for runes. When you create your character, it then predetermines which ones, where they're going to come from. Could be killing the last boss in a dungeon. Could be doing the Hemet Nezinwari questline in STV. Gives you a rune at the end. So so you don't really know, and not unless you're going to go through every single possible locate. So, you know, you just like unlock them and go, oh shit, like cool, I've got it. Obviously, by the time you're 60, then there should just be a very easy way to actually get them. But yeah, I would have it far more dynamic than just a tick box exercise.
Right. I would have just liked something simple, like I said, I'm a fucking idiot. I want to discover, but not like have the discovery be like if you're standing on this rock in the middle of nowhere at midnight and you slash fart 63 times in a row, you'll get a rune, which is how obscure some of them were. But like I would like you go to fucking, you know, the Gallows End Tavern as an undead priest, and there's a new quest giver with a big exclamation point over his head. You talk to him and he goes like, hey, I really hate the Scarlet Crusade. I wish someone would really bring the pain on them. And you're a priest and you have to like figure it out to cast Shadow Word Pain on 10 fucking Crusade mobs. Like something as simple as that. That's what I would have preferred.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Yeah, where it's kind of obvious, but at the same time, Yeah, not the whole that whole triangulation quest line to even unlock professions and all that. Where you had to go to the top of mountains all over the place, like in Phase 2, I think that was. Like, yeah, some of it just is a little bit too far. But anyway, off runes because there's a lot to talk about. So what about actual like dungeon difficulty? You I know you've only done strat, but obviously the dungeons were meant to be more difficult. Are you feeling that, or are people just face rolling through them, or?
I'm feeling it a little bit. Our tank was getting kind of slapped in Strathholm. They were level 59. I didn't see what their gear was like, but they were taking some pretty hefty damage, and they weren't even pulling, like 8 mobs or anything like that. I forget what mobs it was, but they would have like 2 of them on them, and it was at the end, right before the Gorger boss, like the end of Strat Dead. That gauntlet where there's like a bunch of the big ugly dudes.
Mm-hmm.
If he got 2 of them on there, it was rough. Like felt like I had to help off heal to keep him up. Like there was some crazy damage going on in there. And even in the open world, Josh and I were talking before we went live about just the damage difficulty in general of mobs in the open world as well. It feels like it's a little overtuned in my opinion. Like I like to feel strong, and I thought the Season of Discovery was going to allow me to like kind of blast through some of the content. Like we've got these runes, I want to feel powerful, and I'm not feeling that power out in the open world. It almost feels like in Cata when we were leveling up, you got to like 83, 84, and then you were just taking a fuckload of damage, and you're like, dude, I'm in Wrath Bish right now. What the fuck? Like, why am I getting trucked? Like I've been feeling that throughout all of SOD, and this phase I don't really have like Phase 3 gear. I don't have Sunken Temple gear. I still kind of have like BFD/Nomer gear, and I can really feel that my lack of gear, should I say, is pretty noticeable. Like I can kill mobs, no problem. If I pull 3 or 4, I can kind of Starfall AoE them down, but I'm using every cooldown. I'm popping Bark Skin, I'm popping Survival Instincts, Frenzied Regen, and I can kill them all. But it takes a long time. Like these health pools on everything is pretty high. And then in the dungeon, the health pool's not that big, not that difficult. It's just like the damage of the mobs, I guess, in the dungeons.
It's the damage for sure. I'm not as fussed about like whatever slight buff they gave to the health pools, but it's the damage that's problematic. And like I've not to harp on about this for too long, but like I've been screaming about this in amongst my community in my Discord, and all my listeners kind of roll their eyes at me and go, Josh, you're just terrible at the game. Like this is not a complaint. And I'm like, won't somebody please listen to me? This is a complaint, because like for half the classes in the game, you get a drastically different open world experience to the other half. Like, trust me, I've played every fucking class. I'm doing it all. I'm trying all the specs. Like, there are just things that you do in the open world that are 2 out of 10 difficulty on, say, a priest, and then 10 out of 10 difficulty on a rogue. You know what I mean? Like, these things destroy you when they start to hit you. And SOD, I get it that we're more powerful, so the mobs were brought up to kind of compensate for that. But like, it turned into kind of kill this mob in 6 seconds or else. And for some classes, that's not a drama. For others, it's like, mate, I've got hit chance to deal with, and like if I get hit really hard, and like I get that, like, people want to say skill issue and stuff, but like I implore you to try other classes. Because like I spoke to a fan of mine the other day who's like, I told him that there was just something simple. Like let's say like a level 20 I was doing in the Barrens the other day, where I saw a chest amongst a whole bunch of mobs, and I was like on my rogue, and I go, oh, I want to go get that chest. And I started dying a lot, and I've played a lot of rogue. Like I know how to play rogue, and I had like green gear, and anything at same level as a quest just kicks your fucking ass. And anyone who's leveled a rogue knows this. I died 8 times trying to get this chest. Like that's how laughable it was. But I wouldn't give up, because I'm like, this is a stupid little gamer challenge that I want to do. I went back the next day on my level 20 priest, so same level, same everything, same gear, all that shit. Did the same chest challenge on a priest. No death. Didn't even fuss over anything, couldn't believe it. Like, just so different. So like, yeah, I'm screaming that the mobs have been a little bit overtuned, because leveling is supposed to be chill. Farming mobs in the open world is supposed to be chill. And I get that, like, people say, oh mate, vanilla was hard, they just making it like vanilla. vanilla wasn't hard. Like, yeah, you couldn't take on like 5 mobs at a time in vanilla. I get that. But I always say to people, you could reliably take on 2 or 3 mobs in vanilla and deal with it. In SOD, there's 3 or 4 classes that if you have 2 mobs on you, you're pretty much up shit creek.
That's quite interesting because, like, firstly, so there's two things I want to say. So actually, I'll address Go first. So you said Go that you kind of thought that you was going to be blasting. Season of Discovery, you've got all this extra power and everything. You want to just like smash through stuff. Comparing it to something else that's seasonal. I was on Mop Remix last night. It's the first time I've been on it at all. I saw Go play it on launch night. And I was like, no, I'm not going to play that. But as I said, I've been doing a lot of retail, so there's a lot of incentive for me to play Mop Remix anyway. And I think it's, like, completely honestly, I think it's garbage. Like, so I'm not here saying, oh, everyone should go play Mop Remix. It's not for me. But, interestingly, a lot of people who was watching me play it was saying, this is what Season of Discovery should have been. It's about just getting in the content and, like, being so overpowered you can just blast stuff down. I think there should have been a happy medium, as in, like, I think Mop Remix at the moment where people have got their cloaks fully leveled up and they're using trial accounts where they've got a level 20 that they're using to boost their other accounts to, level 70 and all that. Like, it's wild, as in level 20 priests are just going in and one-shotting mobs all the way through dungeons and you're just literally just getting boosted. Like, it's garbage. It's not fun to play unless you're the one doing the boosting. But, like, somewhere between that, where, yeah, who's actually wanting a challenge in a seasonal server where, yeah, in the outside world, when you're just questing, surely you wanna feel powerful. You want to be doing big crits, even potentially two-shotting mobs.
You save the mild challenge for the raid. Like, the open world is to chill, and I'm with you, Scotty. People will be writing their angry YouTube comments going, you just want retail, we can pull the whole zone. No, I agree that there should be some mild amount of threat in the world where it's like, you know what, I'm not going to pull 5 mobs because that's a bit much. I don't want the mass pulling of retail, but like, I don't want to be stressed and having to pay the utmost attention to my fine rotation because I have 2 mobs on me and death is imminent.
The interesting thing is the people that are going to angrily comment about, oh, you just want retail, are the people that haven't played retail, because I'm leveling on there at the moment on multiple classes, and without looms and shit, I get destroyed. As in, like, I can't pull 5 mobs. I can probably handle 3, but when you start getting, like, 5 plus, like, I'm going to die. Like, it becomes a joke when you've got, like, ridiculous gear, enchants, all that shit, obviously, but, every game does. But the second point to it around the around sort of the difficulty is who does want that? Who are the people that are actually encouraging Blizzard to scale the world up so much that, like, I'm not Josh. I know you can play. You say you say like you're a noob and all that shit, but you're not. I've watched your streams. I've seen you play. You're not. Like, what about the people that actually are? That what are the people who do mount, they click all their abilities, they keyboard turn, they literally, do you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people like that, and I'm not dissing them. Like, if they enjoy playing the game, cool. But how the fuck are they managing, like, even to kill one mob? I go back to Zach.
Yeah, it's not as hard as, like, it's probably not as hard as we're quite making it out to be. Like, obviously, like, you can kill a mob, you can kill, like, you can get through this stuff. It's the problems creep up when you are taking on at level content and you're not in full, like, raid BIS. So, like, the players who are saying this is an overblown issue are the players who have had full BIS from Sunken Temple from week 3, and they're going out and killing mobs their level going, mate, these guys are fucking idiots. I blast. Yeah, no shit. That's fine. And that might be a lot of the player base. But anyone who either, only has a few pieces from Sunken Temple or is leveling up an alt or whatever, and, isn't doing the move that, you should obviously be doing quests that you slightly over level. But if you do decide to do a yellow quest, that's when you'll notice and go like, damn, dude, like, this world is scary.
The more I think about it as we're talking, there's so many instances in SOD where I feel like I'm not forced to group, but I feel like that's what the underlying, like, dev mentality is for SOD. It's like they want you to group up and do content. Like PvP for Battlegrounds, you solo queue, you're sitting for an hour plus queue. You join a 5-person group, all of a sudden you have a 5-minute queue for Arathi Basin. It's like you get rewarded for being in a group. And then same thing with incursions. It was a lot easier, a lot faster if you were in a 3 to 5 player group. If you did it by yourself, it would like there was no benefit to solo incursions. And then like out in the open world, I have seen a lot of groups like just blasting through their quests and stuff like that and getting their runes and all that stuff. So yeah, like if you're in a group, sure, like you're just gonna be able to go out there and destroy everything. But yeah, the solo player gets left behind, I feel like.
I am the quintessential solo player, which is like people fairly get on me a lot going like, why do you like MMOs when you don't like playing with other people? It's not that I don't like playing with other people, but I really like playing solo. I get that an MMO should never be catered to players like me who do somewhat eschew group content, but like Blizzard changed the incursions just the other day, for example, to make them soloable now. And like I had been like hoping for something like that. And I think that the Classic team has definitely been prioritizing group content as they well should, but to the same extent, you can't sort of say, you know, there's a lot of content in this game that we don't want you to be able to solo. I think that solo players should always be able to do shit in game, but also be lightly pushed to group instead. Like, hey, you can have a much better time if you just fucking group up for this one, but you can solo it if you really want to.
Well, I feel like you've both led me on lovely to the next point I wanted to talk about was like two things really. Like, how is the general population feeling in comparison to phase 1, phase 2, even like phase 3, you know, like whatever you want to compare it to. And when you're saying that like you feel like the devs are trying to encourage people to group, how realistic is that going to be 8, 12 weeks down the line? Like, do we think there's going to be a decline? Do we think there's going to be a big increase in the amount of people that are playing it because Molten Core is going to be received so well? Like, what are your thoughts on the general longevity of the endgame now and how it's feeling at the moment?
Go. Let me just quickly jump in on this, and a quick thing to say, and then I want to hear from you. I just think that the classic like WoW haterade drinkers are, you know, overblowing the death of SOD a little bit too much. Granted, when you all you do is you look at Warcraft logs and people use that number as the gospel, and that's fine, whatever. Like it's blatantly getting less popular. Everyone knows that. I'm not going to sit here and try and gaslight people and be like, SOD's better than ever. Fuck you. Jump on and play. There's a squillion people playing. No. It has blatantly declined in player base. It is like the numbers aren't looking like amazing on Warcraft logs, but like in saying that, I don't like it when sort of gamers go full DED. This is a dead server, a dead game. It's bullshit, because what actually happens is, even though like you'll go, oh, I don't know, there's 100,000 players playing Cata and 20,000 players playing SOD. That doesn't seem like, you know, a great number. But when you log on your server, there's people fucking everywhere. You know what I mean? Like I'm playing on Lone Wolf, and like there's people around. There's people everywhere. There's my LFG chat is just like scrolling, people looking for shit everywhere. There's world PvP out there for fuckwits like me. I can go slam people if I want to. You know what I mean? Like your experience, you just have to ask yourself if you're the kind of player that, like, if you log on and you want the game to feel like, you know, there's players around, like an old school vanilla WoW server, 3, 4, 5,000 people on it. There's people everywhere. Just go and have fun, and you'll have fun. But if you are the kind of person that just looks at that number on Warcraft logs, the overall, like, lol, there's only 30,000 people playing this game across fucking 8 servers, then yeah, go be a fuckwit and don't play and just bitch about it on Reddit. Like, either put up or shut up and get in the fucking game and have fun, or shut the fuck up and piss off and stop commenting.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So even like when I've done a few Cata videos recently, people are like, oh yeah, you know, my server's dead, or Cata's dying, you know, like Phase 4 SOD's gonna, you know, kill Cata and all this shit. And I'm like, mate, I can find a pug raid 24 hours a day on my server. Literally, if I want to go and raid now, I can raid now. If I want to raid at 6 o'clock in the morning, I can raid at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's like, you know, there's always something to do. And yeah, I fully agree that like it's kind of irrelevant as long as you've got stuff to do, and as long as Blizzard do their part in making sure that they, you know, amalgamate the servers like they've already done. You know, in previous phases, there's already servers that don't exist anymore. So as long as they keep what servers there are busy, then there shouldn't be any issues. I suppose my point was more around like, you know, phase. I can only really comment on phase 1 and 2 because phase 3 I barely played. You know, that's sort of where I really started to fall out of love with SOD. But you know, there was server queues. The servers were ridiculous. You know, is it like I know you've said already, like, you know, the numbers have declined, but it's not. But the sounds of it declined to a point where it has a negative impact on general gameplay. You know, all the servers are healthy enough, even if they're not as busy as they was.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah. Sorry, you go.
No, yeah, it's felt like a normal like launch for any classic game. You could go out and try to quest, and you're gonna have people in that zone like trying to mob tag in front of you. Like you're gonna have to sit there and wait for respawns for quest mobs. You go into the major city, it's fucking slam packed. Like you can't even find the auctioneer because there's everybody standing around. Like the population is feels very healthy. It feels too much for me because I like dead servers, as weird as that might sound. Like I like being able to just go out there and I want to do this quest. I don't want to have anybody like interrupt me in my journey to kill 8 mobs. Like I don't want to wait for a respawn. So it's like it's weird to go out there and see people out there again. You know, people are out there doing their quests. It's nice. And I downloaded what's that add-on bulletin board.
Mm-hmm.
I have used that for SOD kind of just because there's so much spam and LFG chat with summons and bullshit like that. And you open up your bulletin board and there's a fuckload of groups looking for dungeons right now. Like it's crazy how many dungeon groups there are, and everybody's looking for tanks, of course, and healers. That hasn't changed. So the tank and healer population still needs to get inflated. I guess having rogues, locks, and was it shamans being able to tank now, I don't think that was enough. We need more tanks and healers.
Are they going to have to release content at like a much more accelerated speed to what they did in phase 3 then? I suppose that's probably the next point. You know, I think with Sunken Temple, even though when you really look at it in the grand scheme of things, it weren't out that long. You know, it was out a while, don't get me wrong, but you know, it weren't ridiculous amounts of time. But, you know, do you think Blizzard really need to be smashing through these raids to hold people and even draw people back?
Molten Core comes out in like 12 days. I think by another 3-4 days, people are going to be rioting like, bro, what the fuck? Why is Molten Core not out right now? It was such a shit idea to have it come out 2 weeks after launch. Like that's way too long for a seasonal server. I can already see people like bitching and complaining about that. I might be one of those people. I might be like, yeah, dude, like I already got all my pre-raid gear. It took me a week. It didn't take me 2 weeks. Like I don't want to have to, or I don't want to level an alt. So like I'm gonna get all my shit and I'm just gonna raid log for a week. Not even raid log because it's not even gonna be out yet. But I don't know if 2 week Molten Core delay was the right call. The world bosses do come out like a week after launch, so it's like 5 days from now. If everything would have came out then, I think that would have been a lot cooler.
Well, they was originally going to have them on two resets a week, right, as well, and they went back on that, I believe.
Just for Molten Core, yeah.
Yeah, the world bosses are still going to be bi-weekly, right? Is that
no
Nixia?
Like yeah, like twice a week. Yeah. Okay. Is that good?
Yeah, I hated that.
Happy with the change.
Yeah, when they reverted it back and was like, oh yeah, we've heard the feedback. Molten Core is going to be a week lockout. I was like, fuck.
Most people were pretty happy that, like, a lot of people were calling for the 1 a week Molten Core. So like Blizzard basically did the, like, we're listening to the feedback on this one and we'll change our original plan and we'll do that for you and just do once a week. There was a big argument about whether or not, you know, it's the people that were complaining about it being twice a week, we're just going to be doing it on alts anyway. But I mean, that's a whole another can of worms. But like, I think that I sort of disagree with Go in terms of like the vast majority of feedback I've seen surrounding the 2 week wait for Molten Core. Like I wouldn't say I've just not seen any negative feedback around it. I think that players really enjoy the pre-raid gearing process. People call it, you know, the fucking best part of Classic, even though this isn't Classic, you know what I mean? Like, people love doing these dungeons like Scolo and Strat and whatever to get all these sick pre-raid bis items, and now there's a whole load of new ones to go out there and go and find, and I think people are excited at the prospect of not raiding for 2 weeks and just getting ready for the raid. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm missing all the people that think this is shit, but I've not seen it.
I'm not saying I've seen it either. I'm just expecting that to happen. Like, I feel like players might be okay with it now, and then as it gets closer and closer to that date, it's like, fuck, man, it would have been so much nicer if it would have came out sooner. Like, I kind of like, if there's a delay, then I don't want to be able to have enough time to get all of my pre-bis as like I feel like I'm taking it casual for SOD. Like, I don't want to be able to get all that gear, because then my only source of gear from that point on is from the raid. It's like, I like being able to get some of my gear. I go into the raid, and then it's like, okay, well, I'm done with the raid. I can still now go back and do some dungeons and get some temporary loot, some more pre-raid gear. I like having that extra couple of weeks where I have upgrades outside of the 20-man content.
Okay, so what about just other general content that they've added that you like, that you don't like? Because there's been tons, when I've looked at reps, and I think this is like, I don't want to be negative about the game. I don't want to do a podcast and then sit here shitting on a game, because it's kind of irrelevant, the fact that what I'm playing. Season of Discovery, it just, when I looked at like the upgraded rep items, for example, I look at every post that goes out still, just in case I have that sod itch and I want to scratch it. I want to at least know what's going on. But it just doesn't excite me. I look and it's like, oh wow, those boots have got 2 extra agility. That's cool. Is there been anything that they've done where you've been like, man, this is insane? Like the change to incursions being daily areas, or the Blackrock eruption event, for example. How well received has that been?
I personally, like, I'm starting to see these comments a lot, Scotty. It's sort of along the same lines that you're talking about, but maybe a bit more toxic. A lot of people, the SOD haters are sort of going like, oh, mate, they fucking haven't added anything new, or they've barely added anything new. What a fucking limp dick effort for this. This is bullshit. And I'm just like, the players that actually play SOD look at comments like that and go like, the fuck are you talking about? There is like actually a lot of new content in the game. Like, they've, number one, built a new dungeon. There's over 1,000 new or tweaked items in the game. And I know that, like, you're right to say, Scotty, but the vast majority of those 1,000+ items have only had like a couple of extra stats added to them, or they've just said that like it now affects all spells and abilities as opposed to just ranged or melee or whatever. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's correct, but there are also a lot of items that have had like relatively significant changes and reworks and weapon speed changes, and like, the team knows what each class wants, and they've tweaked these weapons and items to be like fitting right in perfectly with what it is that you want to do. So I sort of push back a little bit on the like, oh, the item rework was fucking no work at all. Like, it's not true. On top of the new dungeon, they've obviously got, we haven't seen what MC is going to look like yet. We don't know what version of MC we're getting. People are asking whether it's going to be basically the SOM version or something new. I would wager it's something new with a new boss as well. So like, that's new content. We've got, like you said, updated rep items. We've got the new dungeon currency that's dropping with a whole new loot table that you can buy with this dungeon currency. On the dungeon currency, I only had a cursory glance on it. I'd love to hear from Go on this one. I kind of wish I couldn't see items that like really incentivize people to keep pushing to go back to dungeons after they've gotten the like 2 or 3 things they kind of might want for previous or something off of the dungeon currency. I would have loved to have seen consumables, or people were talking about like world buffs or something that like I should probably do dungeons this week because I might want to go buy this thing off the vendor that I can get with my dungeon currency. It would be a shame if like the dungeon currency is a bit like, let's say the STV currency, where like you're pretty much done with it after a couple of weeks and you've bought everything you want. Now there's no reason to get that currency again. But that's new content nonetheless, the dungeon currency thing. What else have we got? Go, what am I missing? Like I just, what I'm saying is like, I reject the sod hater / lazy gamer line about no work has been done on phase 4.
I don't know if it's really like new content, but it's more quality of life stuff that kind of carried over from Psalm that I thought was a big deal. Was the like the profession procs from like flasks and stuff, and you can get Black Lotus from like a lot of the high level herbs.
Yeah, that was a Psalm thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm so glad that came in for this too, because everybody's worry was like, oh man, flasks are going to be like 500 fucking gold, and we're going to be raiding 4 different raids in the first phase. Like, how many flasks am I gonna have to buy? But I think like the price of all the herbs and stuff is pretty like reasonable right now, so I like that.
It's a bit of it's a weird, like, it's good for herbalists. Like I'm a big gatherer. This is what we've been screaming for all of SOD. They really kind of kicked gatherers in the dick the whole time, going like, oh, here's 1 in every 30 nodes you can have an elemental earth or an elemental fire that you vendor for 5 silver, and it's like, oh gee, thanks Blizzard, you shouldn't have. But now in phase 4 with the Black Lotus thing, that's fantastic, and they've increased the amount of drops you get from gathering nodes. So like I got 5 Swift Thistle off 1 Briarthorn node the other day that I posted in my Discord, and people were like, what the fuck? And I was like, what the fuck? That's amazing. But it is also like, it's give and take in that it's a little bit of a nerf to herbalism, because now there's so many herbs going out there, and you know, alchemists only need so many. You kind of like cutting into the amount that you can sell a little bit, and also their price point with the quantity that's going to be out there. So like, it's fun, but also you've sacrificed a little bit at the same time. I'm still happy with it overall.
Yeah, so take this with a pinch of salt. Hang on, Go, because this might tie in. Like obviously, like Go, you know, I raid with like McNulty and Kennedy, and like them guys have got their SOD guild. They've never quit SOD. They're raiding, all the time. But they was talking about like mid-raid during on Cata, maybe last night or the night before. Have they added something in phase 4? Is there like a bag where you can get random crafting materials, or there's a way to get reagents for things that have now sort of not ruined professions but had a negative impact? You know, a little bit like when Raph added the bags from dungeons where you just got flooded with potions and elixirs and all that shit, and then it started to devalue alchemy. Have they done something around that with being able to get materials?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
I think they have. I thought I saw a screenshot the other day of someone showing a thing that dropped that had a little bit of material in it. Fuck, I wish I knew. I want to say I think something like that is in there, but don't quote me on that, guys.
Yeah, it sounds familiar, but I can't place where it comes from.
Yeah, I've got no idea. I didn't know if you had seen or heard about it, or if it even exists. As I say, they was just talking about it on Discord, and I was like, sounds interesting. You know, they'd been stockpiling stuff, and now it's ridiculously easy to get, so it ruined all their investments for phase 4 and all of that. But I don't know exactly what what they was talking about, because I'm not playing.
Something had like the winter squid. Everybody had stockpiled on the squid, thinking that was going to be a seasonal thing, and then now something is like a bag that you can get the squid from. I can't remember where somebody said that from. Like No Hit Jerome found it the other day.
Yeah. And for all the angry YouTube commenters typing up their whole like, these dumb cunts should know about the game, they cover it for a fucking living. We're recording this like less than 3 days since this phase 4 came out, so we're still learning this shit as it's happening.
2 days.
There's a bag you can buy.
Hours, yeah.
No, so there's a bag you can buy with 5 of the new dungeon currency.
And that's the one. Yeah, well, there you go. So there's the reason to keep going back to the dungeons.
Yeah. I as I say, the boys who I play with know what they're talking about, so I'd have been surprised if it weren't in the game, but yeah, so apparently that's what it is. Cool. Anything else you want to talk about? SOD Phase 4 related?
The reps that we touched on, that they added a whole lot of stuff to reps. Like that was one of my favorite parts of like pre-raid Cata, like when it just launched, was getting all of my reps up. Like I don't know what it is, but there's something very satisfying about killing a mob and seeing that you got 5 reputation for a faction from it. And that's like doing all these quests out in winter, spring. and like Feralus, like getting that rep and then knowing that I'm gonna have like a reward from doing that it's a nice feeling. So I love that they've addressed like reputations.
Just one last point, Scotty. I know we've got 2 hours and we're running out of time to talk about
No, honestly, we can talk about
SOD.
SOD as much as you want. Honestly, it's fine.
All good. I apologize because I'm speaking so much and everyone's going to be like, this fucking Australian guy talks too much. But it's only because SOD is the only thing I'm going to be able to weigh in on. I'm not going to be able to talk about Cata and retail. I don't know fucking anything about them. I just feel like we have to talk about the classes as well with SOD, because I just want to make this one fine point that I was having a chat with a mate of mine, Ubiquitous, the other day about this. The fact that they had the long PTR for SOD Phase 4 in terms of class tweaks, that a lot of these classes have gone through pretty like relatively drastic redesigns, and a lot of abilities and runes have been tweaked, and you're getting all this new shit that has some really cool combinations and everything with it. For me, these classes feel amazing. I know there's going to be a couple of classes out there that are like, my one spec they've missed the mark on, you know, balanced druids or whatever it might be. Look, there's fucking 27 specs out there. There might be 3 or 4 that are still a little bit missing something, but for the most part, all of these classes feel fucking amazing. There's a really, really fun spec out there somewhere for you, and I implore people to go and try it, because this version of your class, again, I'm dunking on a lot of people that make very generic statements online that I disagree with heartily, but we see a lot of, lol, this is just Wrath Priest, or lol, this is just Cata Druid, or lol, this is just TBC Paladin. Like, I think it's a sort of gross oversimplification of what's actually happening here, because in my opinion, we have never seen this version of all of the specs across any version of World of Warcraft before. It is unique to SOD, and people want to go like, actually, my spec had all these abilities in Cata. No, not in this exact combination, not with these figures, not with like, there's something that changes it for SOD. And I'm really enjoying, like, for example, it's not just the melee hunters and healing mages and fucking, you know, tank warlocks out there. That's not what I'm talking about. Your old school, like, arms warrior, your fucking marksman hunter, all that shit, they have been changed to feel quite different to anything you've ever played before, in my humble opinion. I fucking love it, and I am reveling in the fact that I might not be able to play this again in 8 months' time. So, like, enjoy it while it's hot, guys. You'll never get to play the SOD Hunter, the SOD Warlock, the SOD fucking Mage ever again. You know what I mean? Even if they keep the characters available after the fact, it won't be as popular. Get it while it's hot. I love it. I'm doing Melee Hunter. That's my main. I can't stop killing mobs because it's like a Wrath Enhancement Shaman, obviously with different abilities and with less button bloat. There's like 25% fewer buttons than the Wrath Enhanced Shaman, and it's a priority system, and I fucking love it. Raptor Strike #1, Carve #2, Kill Shot when you can, like, you know, fucking counterattack and get back out to range if you want to get some free hits off without them hitting you, get your aim shot off. Like, it's just fucking fun. Try the classes. That's my rant. Go. What do you reckon of that?
I love it because I can't explain why I like Boomkin and Sod when you could justify and be like, oh well, Sunfire, that's from Cata, like Starfall, that's from Wrath. Like, yeah, you have the same abilities, but Star Surge is instant cast, and for some reason, that's all it takes for me to want to log into SOD and play that version of Boomkin, an instant cast Starfire and a 6-second cooldown. It's like, it's fun. Like, I don't have Typhoon, I don't have an interrupt, I don't have a snare, I don't have like all these nice like PvP abilities that I have in Cata, but just something about Star Surge keeps bringing me back in there. Like,
but that's why you need like the whole like what Josh was saying when it comes to you know, people saying like, oh well, I've got these abilities in Cata, or I've got these abilities in MUP, like whatever. It should be about, like, it's a testing ground, right? You know, we all knew that. We knew it weren't going to be a perfect polished product. It's, you know, it's all about them learning what works, what don't work, and like they should actually be taking learnings from it. You know, if there's things that work for classes better in Season of Discovery and it's really well received, you know, as long as it's not game breaking in Cata, you know, when they're looking at like the DPS meters and they're like, shit, you know, we could do with doing something for BM hunters. You know, well, what could you actually then look at Season of Discovery that works and bring in? You know, not necessarily BM hunters, you know, any class. And the same with the content that they add. Rather than it being like, well, this is the content you get in Season of Discovery, this is the content you get in Cata, this is the content you get in Retail. It's like, well, in Season of Discovery, if that Black Rock Eruption event turns out to be really popular, why not put it in Cata? You know, why not go? It's just a zone. It's PvP. It's an extra event. It's something else to do. They could add different rewards, you know, from doing it to Cata. Like borrow from all of the games to make them better. If there's something in Cata that would like, if you wanted to add a raid at the end, once Nax has finished, if you wanted to add a raid, tune Bastion of Twilight, tune Blackwing Descent to be for level 60. Like, why not? They're already there. They're in the zones. The zones exist. Okay, they might need to enable you to be able to get up there with a teleporter or something, you know, in BWD, or if they open Twilight Highlands and, you know, there was a teleporter at the bottom that sends you up. But it's like, rather than completely reinventing the wheel every time, borrow from the other versions of the game. And I feel like there's some really good things they've done in Season of Discovery where they should be capitalizing on that in Cata and even MOP, you know, like onwards. And it is more around world events and things that they've done with reputations, you know, to make the old reputations worth doing. Like, why not? Like, any extra content to do surely is just a good thing.
I've only heard one thing about the Black Rock Eruption event. I haven't gone out there and done it myself yet. I haven't even gone to Eastern Kingdoms. I'm like, that place is probably just fucking packed with people. Like, I'm not trying to quest out there. I'm on a PvP server. I'm not trying to, like, corpse run for 10 hours because it takes 15 minutes to get back to your body in SOD. But I've heard that people are already doing, like, honor per hour calculations, and it's like, well, it's not even worth it. Just fucking spam AV. Like, no point of doing that event. And I was like, oh, like, I don't know if like that's gonna get tuned eventually, if it even needs tuned at all. But like, I'm wondering if the honor is gonna change for the event, especially because, you know, right now it's popping. It's servers are healthy. What happens when the servers start to die down? Same thing with like the Blood Moon event. It's like when there's less people out there in STV, you can't kill that many people, so you can't get the currency that they drop, the blood coins or whatever, to buy your gear for like your alts and stuff like a month into the phase. So like that was one thing that I was hoping that would have been addressed in the previous phases, was like, servers are a little bit lower like right now population wise, so we'll somehow change it to where you can get extra like 2 blood coins per kill or something when they know that there's only one layer on the server, you know. Have you done the event, Josh?
No, I haven't done it yet, which is shit of me, but like I'll get to it today, I think.
Is there anything else you want to touch on?
I've heard mixed reviews. I was just going to say, on the Black Rock Mountain event, I'm hearing, maybe euphemistically putting it as mixed reviews. I don't know. I've got to try it before I really say anything.
Or just give me like a boosted hour where it's like, yeah, double XP from 6 to 8 p.m. or something.
That's very specific. That was really specific. All right. So is there anything else you want to talk about when it comes to SOD? As I say, don't feel that we need to move on to anything else because, you know, we got 55 minutes. I mean, is there any of the news you want to cover? Any of the blue posts or anything like that around Season of Discovery? Or I'm leaving it to you guys. You know, it's entirely up to you two.
There's like the epic drops in dungeons seem to be dropping like pretty fucking frequent. You know, like the Savage Gladiator chain or whatever, like the chess piece from the arena and BRD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've heard many people have gotten that. I've heard like the offhand from is it Strathholm, I think, or Shola. I don't remember where all this loot comes from. There's so much loot in this phase. But yeah, like a lot of epic loot just seems to be dropping, which if it's a bug and then they patch it and then it's like, oh yeah, now it's back to 0.02% drop chance and I've missed out. I'm worried about the fear of missing out for this epic loot dropping. It could just be like the random people that have gotten it have been very vocal about it. So maybe it hasn't changed, you know, but it just appears that way. But I would like it if I could get my epics a lot easier. Like there's a chest from a couple of dungeons that are epics. Like, yeah, let me get my epics, man. I love it. Oh. The quest chain, I don't think they modified the quest chain for like the tier 0.0 like dungeon loot, but my first dungeon I got 2 pieces, like 2 of the normal pieces. So that's been nice to go in there and like know that they've been changed. I'm glad that they changed the stats on that because they were like they had nothing on them, like no spell power for any of the casters for that. And I've heard some of that has been bugged. I think there was a blue post about that, or maybe not a blue post, but a Wowhead article or something about the loot. Some of the loot hasn't had its stats upgraded, like the new versions for the tier gear hasn't been in the game, so it's gonna change next week on reset or something.
I've ranted about everything I want to rant about. I mean, I just would say to people like, you know, give SOD Phase 4 a go. It feels different to Phase 1, 2, and 3. If you quit in Phase, you know, everyone enjoyed Phase 1. If you quit in Phase 2 or Phase 3 because the game wasn't scratching that itch for you, and like, you know, Phase 2 and Phase 3 weren't perfect. They definitely would, you know, they had issues. They had good parts. They had bad parts. But like, you know, some players tried Phase 2 and Phase 3 and didn't like it and walked away. Just like, you know, I would just sort of say give it a go. You know what I mean? Your class probably feels a little bit different now. See if you like it. You know, if you like level 60 content, you're going to like it in SOD. You know, if you're a true vanilla Andy that never wants to play any game other than vanilla WoW for the rest of your life, that's fine. SOD probably isn't for you, but stop shitting on people that are enjoying it. Just, you know, fucking go do your thing.
Even if you're not sure if you're going to, log in and log back out in a major city so you get that rested experience when you come back in. You're like, oh, fuck yeah, I've got a whole level and a half of rested experience. Yes.
Okay, cool. Let's we'll move on to the general state of Cata at the moment then. So I mean that's SOD Phase 4. Obviously these guys are playing it. If you haven't gave it a shot, give it a shot. If you're busy with other things, then there might be something that you should give a shot that I'm going to talk about shortly, but we'll get onto that. Cataclysm, are either of you, I know, Go, obviously you're raiding. Josh, are you still playing Cata? I know you was the last time we spoke, but...
I was loving it, and I wish I was still playing Cata, but what fucking wound up happening that I was really fearful of is I just don't have the time to play a million MMOs. Like, I'm not playing Cata, and I'm not playing the fucking new Final Fantasy 14 expansion came out the other day. I've only played like 5 hours of it because, like, I'm just kind of all in on SOD. I'm really enjoying SOD, and I just don't have the time to juggle multiple MMOs when I thought I would, but I can't. So like Cata, I'm still very interested in it. I miss my fucking Atonement Priest so much. I've had so much fun playing that in Cata, and I can't wait to get back to it. It just might not be for another month. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. And Go, you're raiding. You're 13 of 13 heroic now. Grats.
Yeah, I got 13 of 13 this week, I guess, within multiple raids. We haven't had a full reset where we've had all 13 of 13, but we can do that tonight if we get the last 2 bosses down for this reset. The Council was our last boss that we needed for 13 of 13, and it took us 2 hours of prog on that on Tuesday or Thursday, I can't remember which. And yeah, it felt cool to have that prog, you know, like we were sitting there like... we might not be able to come back in here because we had a pug with us. So it's like if we don't finish this in the next 45 minutes, we're gonna have to change it to normal and then come back next week to finish off the prog. So it was nice to get that boss down. That boss is chaotic as fuck. There's so many mechanics in that thing. It's ridiculous, dude. There's debuffs that like it's a lightning debuff, but it's a good lightning debuff, and then there's a lightning debuff that's a bad lightning debuff, and you got to like figure out which one it is that you have and then like react to it accordingly like really quick. So I was stressing the fuck out of that fight, but it was fun. It was cool. 13 of 13 feels nice. And this is what, like lockout 6 or something, like 5 or 6. That's the part where I'm like, it did take a while, but I didn't try to like be in a guild that was pushing for like the first week or two to get 13 of 13. But I feel like overall, a lot of guilds haven't gotten close to 13 yet, like full heroic. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
There's surprisingly low numbers, I would say. Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, there's more and more guilds clearing, 13 of 13 every week, but it definitely appears to be, Council, Nef, heroic. I would actually say they're the two big ones. There's more guilds that kill Sinestra than like Council or Nef at the moment. But it is like the numbers are rising. But I mean, in just regards to Council, like once you've killed it a few times, you don't even think about it. Like, it genuinely does just become second nature. But are you still just raiding on one character? Just the one boomy?
Yeah, just the one boomy, yep. I've been tempted to start gearing up my alt 85, but now SOD's out, so it's like that 85 is going to be kind of on hold. And I've got another tune too. I was leveling up my mage. It's only 42, but I've got those two characters that eventually I might try to gear them up and maybe do some raids on them. But our guild has done something which I also don't know how I feel about this. Like, there's so many things I'm like, I don't know what to do. They put out like a thing on Discord, and it's like, react to these bosses whether or not you need loot from them or not still. And council, it was nice that we got it down, but nobody needs loot from that boss really. So it's like, if we go in there and just do that on normal every week to make the raid easier. I've never done that. I don't think I've never like not done a heroic just to do normal, just to clear it up. I guess maybe we did that in Old War.
Not very often. No, we still killed them on hard mode even when we needed nothing from them.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird to go in there and just not full heroic clear every week just because people don't need loot from the boss,
Yeah, I'd be pushing for full heroic. I mean, like, no one needs the offhand from council.
The priest, yeah, the priest was like, it's my bis, but there's the other offhand I can just reforge, like, and it'll be fine. Like, they would rather get second bis, believe it or not, than do a heroic council.
Yeah, I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, yeah, we see lots of gear on heroic bosses just completely go to waste, but yeah, I'd still rather be killing them on heroic. But yeah, what's it? So general state of Cata for you, like, still good place. I mean, it certainly seems it for me.
I mean, the raids are fun. Like, I love logging in and doing the raid, but there's just nothing else to do on it. I feel like the PvP is nice. Like, if I need a PvP fix and I want to have a fast instant queue, then I know Cata is my place to go. Like, if I'm trying to queue on SOD, I know I have to, like, okay, I'm gonna do these 15 quests while I'm waiting for this queue to pop. Like, I need to plan around like an extra activity in order to queue up on SOD, because I'd just be sat in fucking Orgrimmar fishing for an hour, like, waiting. But yeah, Cata, it's nice to be able to just go in there and do a couple BGs like randomly.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm raid logging on. I want to say raid logging. I'm not even just raid logging. I'm doing a lot, actually, to be fair. But I completely agree with you, like 100%. I do feel like outside of raids, if you've been playing since week one, like we have, there's kind of reducing amounts of things to do, unless you're interested in, like, I don't know, achievements or whatever, rep farming, stuff like that. But I love the raids. Someone came in chat earlier when I was raiding on my 6th character this week, and I was like, bravo for not burning out. And it's like, I can't burn out of tier 11. I genuinely, I think if we was doing it for another 6 months, I'd still be raiding on the same amount of characters and still loving the raids. Because I just think they're, I say that there's a couple of bosses that, like, I'd happily not do each week. There's something like Maloriak. I just hate Maloriak. I hate... I hate the really boring ones. Maloriak, Atramedes, Chimeron, all the just, like, easy shit. But, like, give me Neff and give me Sinestra and Council, Alakir, give me that every week. But yeah, I mean, I'm still absolutely, like, loving Cata, raid logging on multiple characters, and then the rest of my time is on retail, which we'll touch on in a minute, to do with a pre-patch. But the only thing I want to know about Cata, with the fact that Phase 4's launched, and Josh, you might be able to chime in when you would say is the right time. Obviously, the second phase of Cata is only really 2 heroic dungeons. When would you say is the right time with Phase 4 just dropping? When's the next a good period of time to look at Phase 2 now for Cata?
I would say at least a month after Molten Core drops for SOD. So that'd be in 5 weeks. Does that seem about right or not?
I would agree.
End of August. See, to me, that's way too long. Like, I wanted that to come out like last week, 2 weeks ago, because there's just nothing in that patch. And if I were to leave Cata and then just play SOD, like phase 2 is not going to bring me back into Cata. I'm not going to be like, oh fuck yeah, ZAZG's in, let's go, Cata hype. Like there's no hype at all for phase 2 for me. Like phase 3, like tier 11, I feel like just needs to be the one that's coming out in like 5 weeks.
Oh yeah, Firelands. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's things they could do, and we spoke about on the podcast before, like Molten Front being early. You know, even if they added some form of mythic versions of the heroics, like they need to do something pretty special in the second phase where it's not just Zolgarub and Zolaman, because there's people who are not like me. There'll be people that are absolutely bored shitless of tier 11 already, you know, and like just don't even want to raid on it, and they're probably playing SOD or they're playing retail or whatever. As I say, like I'm raiding in 45 minutes, you know, literally on my 7th character this week. Like all full clears, not all full clears on heroic, you know, like varying levels of success. I do 13 or 13 heroic on my feral now every week, and then I raid in multiple 25 mans, multiple 10 mans. I don't really know where I find the time. It's fortunate that 2 of the raid teams are on the same 2 days. I go pretty much straight from one 25 man into another 25 man on Tuesday and Thursdays, and then the others are like sort of spread out. But I love it, man. Honestly, Cata has really lived up to my expectations. I do feel like it is time for him to take a risk, and I think that's going back to what we was talking about with Season of Discovery. That's what I'd like to see him do. I'd like to see him look at some successful bits. Even like, let's go all the way back to the start of the podcast where I was talking about pet battles. Even if it was something like that, I was like, guys, you know, we're not going to tell you whether mops come in yet or not, even though we fucking know it is. But we're going to give you pet battles with phase 2. Like, they're going to be putting it in eventually anyway. You know, that gives people reason to go around and do the old raids to collect pets that drop from bosses. You know, so they've got more value than just an achievement. Like, I'd be all over that. Like, literally, that's just one system. You know, there's many things that they could do. You know, they could take systems from retail that work really well, or like I say, world events from Season of Discovery, or reputation changes. But I think they need to like think a little bit outside of the box rather than being, well, this is how Cata was. You want the classic experience. It's like, I don't think that kind of cuts it anymore. If they want to keep people all the way until the end of Dragon Soul, anyway. Because I think when Dragon Soul launches 2 weeks after that, and I'm not being like all doom and gloom, I'm just being what I personally think is going to happen, the same way I think it's going to happen for Season of Discovery, is once that final tier opens, so Nax for Season of Discovery and Dragon Soul for Cata, once it's been cleared once or twice, you're just going to see the population just drop off, like next level numbers. Because it's like, well, game's completed, like I'm off. Unless SOD obviously have more raids past Nax, then obviously that's a different story.
What's funny is, you know, we're sat here talking about all these like crazy changes that we want to Cata, and Josh just had a 3-hour episode yesterday about people not wanting changes in classic era still, and it's like what a change it's been in the last 5 years of the no changes mentality to fucking change it all, dude. Like, give us all this shit early. Like, let's go. I love pet battles. I wish that they would have brought that in TBC. I was like, oh, please give me fucking pet battles. Like, that would keep me like hype for.
I'm not with you guys on that one. I think pet battles can stay where they are, but like, yeah, I do agree that, like, you know, I think people have been open their mind more to the concept of them, but I don't know that they had a place in any of the classic versions of the game necessarily.
Yeah, that's fair, but it's the minor things that I've asked for in the past is like, you know, like achievements. Like, surely Season of Discovery would have been a perfect place to have achievements, you know, like they have with Mop Remix, where when you're on Mop Remix, your achievements that you get on there actually carry over to retail. It would have been great if on Season of Discovery they added achievements, and the achievements you get on there carry over into Classic. Yeah, you know, I feel like there's some missed opportunities to add repeatable content, or content that adds longevity to phases, which, don't get me wrong, Season of Discovery, would I be going around farming achievements? Probably not. But for things like reputations, you know, like doing Thorium Brotherhood to be able to get the gear, like, I'm not going to do that in Cata. There's no point. But if I could do that in Season of Discovery, if I was playing, and that carried over to Cata, you know, like things like that, where I think they could maybe think a little bit further ahead when it comes to Season of Discovery Season 2.
Well,
Yeah.
let's get into War Within, dude. Like I was so shocked to be driving home from work the other day, and you were like having so much fun, like doing dungeons and shit on your War Within tune. I was like, what the fuck? Like, where did Scotty go? Like, why is he hyped for fucking retail?
All right, so I'll tell you the honest truth. What happened? I've been playing a lot of MOP, obviously on Stormforge, and I just needed something outside of raids. And I was like looking at all the War Within stuff, looking at the hero talents, and thinking, man, this game looks fucking bonkers. Like it just looks bonkers. So I sort of set myself a goal. I wanted to start playing a bit of retail. Me, Chunk. There's about 8 or 9 of us now from our Cata guild that are in a guild together on retail. I wanted to not go in and get overwhelmed. I didn't want to go in and be like, I don't know where I'm going, what to do. I wanted to just break it down. So I'm leveling a monk and I'm doing the WOD zones. So I don't need to do MOP, Cata, Wrath. Yeah, I'm familiar with all of that. So I'm leveling multiple characters, but I'm nailing an expansion at a time, which even if you think you wouldn't enjoy retail, if you played it like that, I think you would be surprised. And I genuinely mean that. If you don't enjoy retail, but you was like, I never played Legion, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to chromie time Legion as a character and play through the Legion zones, doing all the quests, doing queuing for like RDF, doing the Legion dungeons. And yeah, that's my aim. I'm doing it because I quit at 110 in Legion, so like I literally played Legion for a week, and that was the end of retail for me. Other than I went back in BFA and done some Mythic Plus, and I played the Shadowlands beta, the Dragonflight beta, but all betas, like never actually played live. So I've sort of I'm setting my own goals because there is so much content. I cannot believe how much content there is in retail that I've been asking for in Classic. How many times have I asked for, time walking? Oh, they should make Karazhan, like max level, so you can go back and do Kara. And it's like, well, every month there's a different time walking. This month's WOD, which is going to be great. I'm looking forward to doing Blackrock Foundry and all that shit. Like, it's going to be amazing to actually do that and get end game content from content that I actually miss, from a nostalgic standpoint. But if you don't try and overwhelm yourself, where it's like, I'm going to rush to max level, I want to get full geared, start pushing mythic keys, getting mythic raids and all of that, and you're like, no, I'm just going to chill. I'm not even max level yet. My monk's 56. And then I'm also leveling on MOP Remix. I'm also working through the allied races where you get Volpera and the Zandalari trolls and all of that. They've got really good quest lines that you do. People was complaining in chat when I was on it, and they was like, "Oh, you're gonna hate this. This sucks." I've been loving it. Literally going and doing the quest lines to unlock them all has been one of the best things I've done in WoW for ages. So I'm loving it, but there's big changes coming. So obviously we've got the pre-patch, with the systems pre-patch that's coming this month, and then at the end of the month, which I think is just like a week later, is the actual pre-patch event where you can do catch-up gear. You're going to kill Ragnaros, you're going to kill Onyxia, you're going to kill the Lich King, in this sort of memories of the past, or visions of Azeroth it's called. Where you're going to be in Theramore, Dustwallow Marsh, Dragon Blight, and Searing Gorge, I believe. So you go into these zones that you're familiar with. It's just been really cool actually realizing that there's far more to retail than just, oh yeah, I play it just for Mythic Plus. There is loads to do, and as long as you don't overwhelm yourself, it's really cool. But the changes that are coming for War Within is just epic. I'm so excited. Warbands. Man, warbands, they should put it in Cata. Fucking hands down. When MOP launches, put warbands in, because it's going to be one of the best things they've ever done. And for anyone who don't know what it is, it's account-wide stuff. So you actually have a warband bank.
Oh, yeah.
An account-wide bank that you can pay ridiculous amount of golds, like a guild bank. But it's just your account
it's
bank.
It's personal.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's sick. You get account-wide reputations. You get currency. You can transfer currency from one character to another. So imagine farming your Valor cap, and at the moment in Cata, I need nothing from Valor. It is useless to me. But being able to farm Valor on my main and then transfer it over to an alt, the stuff that Warbands brings, mate, I think it looks bonkers, and I'm here for it. And dragon riding is one of the best things I've ever done. I was like, man, this is memey, dog shit. Why is everyone creaming over this? I've done it. I was like, oh my God, I never want to fly normally again on WoW. Honestly, the fact that that's just going to be standard, like you don't have to use that. Like all the normal flight speeds going up to like 420 for epic flight, I believe, up from 310. But obviously, you can go like up to 830 in Dragon Isles, and I think it's a little bit slower in the other zones, like 705 or 715, something like that. I'm no retail guru, but I've been loving retail so much. I've been like, how can I put some content out about this? Where it's more like like entertaining videos, more like, I'm a retail scrub. How am I getting back into it? What am I doing? That kind of thing, to see if it actually gets other people interested. Because I really think the War Within is going to be one that people shouldn't miss. The changes that are coming to retail is, if you like Cata, you will like retail. That's all I would say. If you enjoy,
well, that was going to be my question.
It feels so similar, and even like if you don't get ridiculously overwhelmed by looking at the different ways to gear and all of that, it's really not that different. You're still. I would say it's actually the gearing is closer to MUP than Cata, but the general way the classes play, they just feel like Cata but better. The talent system is just amazing. Like I get a talent point and I sit there for about 20 minutes. And people must be on the stream like, "What are you doing, you numpsy? Just look on Wowhead and just like copy one of them." And it's like, I don't want to copy that. I want to read them and look at what they do, and tailor the class to how I want to play. Don't get me wrong. At Mythic Raiding, it's going to be a cookie cutter build that you use on each boss. Like I'm sure that's the case. But yeah, man, like I'm creaming all over retail at the moment. Like I literally just can't wait for the pre-patch. It's going to be epic.
So it's something you mentioned earlier about heirlooms and not having them. If they made my Cata heirloom somehow transfer to War Within and I could use those item slots somehow, then maybe I could like be coerced to play a little bit of War Within.
Well, heirlooms don't give you XP, by the way. Heirlooms in retail, they don't. Well,
yeah, just the stats would be nice.
Yeah, they give you, they help you retain your rested XP. And you get like a small buff when you ding, and there's a few little bonuses that you can get from them. But it's more if you're going for speed, just being able to bang a full set of heirlooms on, and then when you're spamming dungeons and that, it's like, I don't give a shit about gear. Like, whatever, just vendor it all and just keep moving. For speed, heirlooms make it, and obviously that means you're always going to have the current eye level. Do you know what I mean? Rather than actually getting drops and worrying about what you're using. So, but I've started fresh, by the way. Obviously, my retail account is EU. So my proper retail account has, got 26,000 achievement points or whatever it's got, hundreds and hundreds of mounts, like loads of realm firsts and shit like that on there. And I've ditched that completely and gone, no, I'm starting fresh, like completely fresh on NA realms. Started with 0 achievements, no heirlooms, no gold. Obviously, had people help me out and give me gold like Amzambi and stuff who already play retail, but I've gone full fresh. So I feel like I've got so much to do. I even want to go back and do, like, for someone like you, Go, I don't know, Josh, if you're the same, but obviously we know Go loves soloing content. Like being able to just go back and solo old raids to get, like, to collect all your transmogs, to collect all the pets, the mounts. Like,
I do like it. The minimal amount of time I spent doing it, I do enjoy that.
Well, I mean, the retail is just, it feels to me like it's just got endless amounts of content. I'm just like, I could play this probably for the next 3 years, and they could put, they could put War Within on hold for me, and I wouldn't run out of things to do. But yeah, again, for people who already play retail or have played retail recently, like you guys that are either listening live or watching back the VOD, you might be like, well, this is nothing new, all of this stuff you're talking about. It is for me, because I haven't played retail for like 5 or 6 years. So this is like, to me, it's banging. Like, I'm just having a really good time. But yeah, War Within pre-patch this month. As I say, it's coming in 2 parts. You're going to get the systems pre-patch first, and then the actual like the event, which looks really cool as well. If you're even slightly on the fence about giving War Within a try, I would say probably wait till the pre-patch, because you're going to be able to level quicker as well. But you'll also be able to gear really fast.
That person. I'm that person, Scotty. I wonder how many are out there like me, where like, look, I'm not a retail guy, and I don't like, if you want to like retail, go like retail. It's just not my game, whatever. But I've still bought. I bought Battle for Azeroth and tried it on the first week. I bought fucking Shadowlands and tried it on the first week. I think Blizzard gifted me fucking Dragonflight, or I got it for free and tried it for the first week or whatever, which was nice. But like, I never play beyond a week. It's just never sucked me in. But like, for War Within, I have less interest, but I'm trying not to do the move where I just, I'll buy it anyway and fucking give it a go. I'm actually in full wait and see mode. I just want to wait and see. And look, if for whatever reason people come back and just go, this is the fucking greatest expansion of all time, then sure, I might be on the fence enough to actually give it a look. But until then, I haven't. Hearing you say it's like Cata does intrigue me. But I'm not sure if it's enough to really pull me away, like particularly when there's so much WoW on offer and there's stuff that I just enjoy more.
Yeah, and I think that's fair, and I don't think even War Within would grip you if it is very much like play through it in a week and then never go back to it. Like, I think it's about getting in that frame of mind, and for some reason, I'm in that frame of mind, and I think it's actually Season of Discovery, where it's like all along, if you was to go back to one of the podcasts from, I don't know, 6 months ago, I would have been like, yep, Season of Discovery is going to be my game on the side. Cata's going to be my main game. I'm going to be playing raiding on Cata, and then I'll be on Season of Discovery outside of that. So because of like what we've spoke about during the podcast, like what Go brought up about outside of raids, you don't feel like he's got a lot to do. I do need that second game. And of course, it could be something that's not WoW, but unfortunately, WoW's pretty much all I enjoy playing. It's the only thing that holds me. So it's probably thanks to me falling out of love with SOD, where then I'm a lot more open-minded with retail. I'm like, right, I'm going to really, I had to sit there and question people that I play, who play retail, who I play Cata with, that play retail. And I'm like, what is this island? Was that Shadowlands? Yeah, okay. Is this one Legion? Yeah, it's Legion. I've relearned all the basics. Where are the portals in Orgrimmar and where do they go to? How do I travel around? Like, I've literally just sat and really learned from the ground up to almost catch up those 5 years. And I think unless you're willing to do that, which you don't have to, like you could just do War Within content and be clueless about everything before it. But obviously, because of the amount of stuff that I actually want to do on it, I've really had to sit down and try and soak it all in. And it's been just like a brand new experience. Like I've always said, I want a new MMO to play. And this is, for me, even though it's familiar and it's World of Warcraft, it feels like I'm playing a new MMO again. Where, because I'm clueless about things that everybody else knows. So yeah, very personal thing, but yeah, I'm enjoying it.
I did do a little bit of stuff outside of raid last week or the week before. I did all of the achievements for the Midsummer Fest, and that was kind of nice. So just log in and be able to do that. And then I just remembered that they made a change to, you can solo start the Titan Rune Alpha dungeons. I guess all the Titan Rune dungeons now. So I might have to go back and try to get all the achievements of the alpha dungeons that I never got. So like I guess I do have some stuff that I can do in there, and that's kind of the shit that I would do if I played War Within. I would have to limit myself because I'm like you, Scotty. Like I feel like there's just so much shit to do. That's been like a barrier of entry for me to play retail ever again, because it's like I wouldn't know where the fuck to start. I would have to sit there and pick like one task to do before I even like logged in the game and be like, all right, this is my plan for today. I need to go and collect 10 battle pets and then I'm good. Like
that's what I'm doing, man. No, but that's absolutely the right approach. Like I've said, when people are like, when are you going to start doing Mythic Plus? It's like, I want to unlock all the races first. Like it's a fresh account. I haven't got all the allied races. So I need to do I need to get an alliance to level 40 to do all the quest chains to get the 5 on there. I'm already doing the Horde ones. I think I've unlocked 3 of the 5 now. So I've got 2 more quest chains to do, but they're actually really interesting. And then when you look at like the racials that the allied races get, for us who have just been spending the last 5 years on Classic, having new racial bonuses, that alone's exciting. I'm looking at it and it's like, as a Volpira, you can make a camp anywhere in the world and return to it. How cool is that? I was like mind blown by it. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, right, I need to unlock it. I need to go and unlock that. So I'm seeing things that I want to do and not worrying about the end game, because I'll worry about the end game when War Within's out. Like end game, we've missed the boat with Dragonflight. It kind of just don't matter. But yeah.
So doing dungeons has felt good. Like I know you were trying to do like all the old dungeons and stuff too, right? Because the last memory I have from playing retail was I went into a dungeon and it felt like I was doing like no damage. I was just, I don't know. It felt really strange. Like I didn't know the dungeon at all. And I think I might have gotten kicked from a dungeon because I didn't know where the fuck to go. And they're like, where's this guy at? I was like, I don't know where I'm going. Like, but dungeons have felt good.
I mean, I'm really enjoying them. And I like the fact that they've all got quests in, even the dungeons that don't normally have quests in.
Yeah.
I love the fact that some of the dungeons that are really, really boring have been made really interesting. Like Throne of the Tides. Man, like Throne of the Tides is dire in Cata, isn't it? Like it's got to be one of the worst heroics. It's mega in retail. Like the second boss, the one that summons the ads. Like there's so much shit to do on it, or it feels like there's so much shit to do out. And the last boss has been redesigned completely as well, where you get like beams that clear like shit on the floor. To me, it feels great because it feels new, and the dungeons feel interesting because there's actually mechanics. Whether you're level 10 or you're level 70, you feel like you're actually doing something sort of meaningful. So yeah, I'm a fan. I'm sold.
Everything scales too, right? So you could be level 8 and you could be doing a dungeon with somebody that's 35. Right? That's how that works, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's 10 to queue now. But yeah, you can be doing it, from level 10 to whatever level. I've not seen a max. But yeah, like Jay was 66 and we was like in our, I don't know, 16, 17, something like that, and we was doing it with him. So
that just always felt weird to me. That was an immersion break for me. It's like, why the fuck is a level 60 not able to do more damage to this mob than I can? Like, I don't know.
The scaling's funky and actually can be a little bit frustrating. How like a level 20, like the higher level you get, the worse you scale because you've got more abilities, and obviously you get more sort of raw damage from talents and all of that. So it can feel pretty janky when you've got a level 20 out DPS in you and you're level 65 or something. But yeah, you have to see past that. It's about the fun of actually doing a dungeon, not the amount of damage you're doing. But
yeah.
As I say, but I enjoy it, and I would encourage anyone to at least give it a shot, especially when the pre-patch starts. Anything else?
I'm happy.
Josh, anything from you?
No, sorry, mate. I as soon as we get to War Within, there's not much I can input. I'm so sorry for being rude.
No, it could be on anything. Like if you got, we've got time. If there's anything else that we haven't quite touched on that you wanted to talk about.
No, it's all good. Just like obviously, I think to be fair, Scotty, I think it's probably good to throw in. I mentioned this on my podcast. It's coming out on Monday. It's probably good to throw in a slight mention to the changes that came to Classic era this week that a lot of vanilla fans are not very happy about. And I think it's quite justified that some of the changes to the SOD client bled over into the era client, and that community who really just wants their game not to be touched at all had some wonky things thrown in, like now Alliance can get the SOD War Chief's Blessing equivalent or some shit like that. Also, Druids can use pole arms. They got the new guild pane and stuff like that. And people want to say it's inconsequential, it's little things, but it's probably a bit more consequential than people realize, particularly in terms of like the raid buff and faction balance and whatnot. But like, I just think that as much as I've been kind of feuding a little bit with some of the more extreme vanilla fans lately who can be a bit full on online, I still want them to have their server and have their fun and have their version of the game. So like, I don't think that Blizzard should have made those changes, and hopefully they think it gets reverted.
Yeah, I know there was some janky crossover with things like, what was it, like the Divine Steed quest or something like that as well. Like people could get that on era. They weren't actually getting Divine Steed unless there was a Paladin, I don't think. But yeah, you was getting the rep from it and you could complete the quest. I suppose you expect some of that, but yeah, any changes that. Well, yeah, classic era is classic era. At the end of the day, like it just shouldn't be touched. You know, the diehard community that play on there for a reason because they're playing the game that they love. If they wanted any changes, they'd play SOD or Cata, wouldn't they? So totally agree.
Yeah.
Do you want to touch on the extra information you got about like why those changes came in?
Oh, I mean, one of the Tim, the assistant classic lead, dropped into the stream and gave a bit of extra information on in particular with regards to the druid polearms, why what happened. Like my theory was this was actually a mistake and it wasn't intentional. And Tim said no, with druid polearms, like that was intentional. And I don't want to paraphrase him too badly here, but I got the impression that the rejection by the era community of, let's just say, the druid polearm thing caught them by surprise a little bit. I think they took a different stance, that they maybe didn't think it was as big of a deal in era specifically, where there's no polearms that druids would even want to use. Like they were kind of like going like it doesn't really matter. It's a nothing change. But the era community vastly disagrees with that, and I think they've kind of been like, all right, our bad. You know, if that's a vastly more offensive change than we realized, you know, we're sorry, we'll work on changing that. So he hasn't said they will change it. He'll just said like they'll go back and look at it, and if the overwhelming response is this is ridiculous and they've gauged it wrong, they're happy to go back and take a look.
Right, okay. So it weren't a bug, it was actually intentional. They weren't like, oh, something just sort of spilled over and yeah, they was like, oh shit, sorry, yeah, we'll sort that out. They actually intentionally, yeah, and consciously made that change.
I thought it was something that it was like, it happened, but it would take a lot of dev time. So is it an important thing for us to fix right now? And they were like, it's just druid polearms. I thought that's how it kind of went down, Josh.
Yeah, I think it was odd to sort of fixate on the druid polearm thing with him when there's like much hairier issues out there, you know, like yeah. I would more just be like, watch this space. Like, I really hope we're living in a world where the two clients aren't tied together in code. So, I made the analogy that they're like conjoined twins, SOD and era clients. And like, I just hope that they're not tied together so bad that this can't be changed. I really hope that's not the case. I would want to hope that there's a switch they can flick and be like, all right, fuck, our bad. You're right. We should never change era servers. We'll just flip it.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, cool. Well, go on.
Yeah, and that episode will be live, you said, Monday over at Countdown. I don't know how your YouTube is spelled. Is it just Countdown to Classic on YouTube?
On YouTube, it's I think it's, if you search for Countdown,
it's in the description.
You'll find it. I think my name might be Countdown. I can't remember, but yeah. Otherwise, Countdown Pods on Twitch and Josh Corbett Pods on Twitter, I think. Yeah.
You had I forget the guest name, but there was two of them that you had eventually, but they were talking about the world buff like changes and all that stuff, and that was a really interesting like listen of like somebody that's playing era and just how much those little tiny changes seem on the outside, but it really affects like the people that are living on those servers.
Yeah, and it shut me down really quick because, like I said on the podcast, like I am one of those knee-jerk guys who doesn't play era and was like, oh, they're not very big changes. Who gives a fuck? And as soon as I got the explanation, you realize very quickly that no, they actually are changes that carry a bit of weight.
Yeah, well, as I say, that podcast, yeah, you can go and watch. The link to Josh's YouTube channel is in the description, and when you're on there, you can find a link in the info section at the top to all of these podcasts on Spotify as well. Cool. All right. So thank you, Ashley, by the way. Again, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Thank you to everybody that's watched live, or if you've lasted this long through the VOD, thank you as well. I know it was quite a varied podcast. We've never actually covered like all versions of the game in one, but between the three of us, we're playing all versions of the game. So, you know, it's nice that we can actually cater to everybody really now. You know, like I'm playing retail and Cata, and Go's playing her SOD and Cata. So you know, we can mix in some of the big news from all of them, at least from now on. Cool. Go. Where can people find you?
Oh Lord, on Mancrick, on Cata, and on Crusader Strike NA for both of those, and Season of Discovery. And then on YouTube, all your Balanced Druid needs. If you want to figure out how to find your Starfall rune, I've got the video, all of the videos for all the Balanced Druid runes in SOD. If you're trying to catch up, I've got you covered.
And Josh, obviously, as I say, you link to your YouTube's in the description anyway, but anything you want to shout out?
No, just check out the podcast, Spotify, Countdown to Classic, wherever you get podcasts, just type that in, you'll find it. Guys, it's you know, the devs listen to the show. The devs join me for, you know, to listen in and chime in when they can from time to time. You know, it's not just some Aussie guy talking to his two mates. Like, please do check it out. The conversations are great. The chats go somewhere. It's a community-based show. It's talkback radio. Goes straight to the devs' ears, and you know, we try to just make the game, give feedback on the game to make it the best fun that it can be. And I'm really loving SOD Phase 4, and just be open-minded and give it a go if you haven't already.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Yeah, thank you for coming on again, Josh. I'm sure we will see you in the near future, no doubt. We'll make sure it is a very SOD-centric podcast as well next time. So, yeah, you know, maybe post Molten Core.
I'm useless on anything that I'm not actively playing.
No, that's fair. But, you know, like, yeah, once Molten Core's out and you guys are smashing through that, it'd be great to get you back on to, yeah, get your experience of it and everything anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Always a pleasure. Happy to.
Cool. Cheers, guys. Much love.
All right. See y'all later.
See you guys.
I'll just give it a sec.
Oh, yeah. So, Josh, this is the awkward part where he has an ending screen, and we can talk shit about everybody that we want to talk shit about, and nobody's gonna know. It's brilliant.
They'll not recognize whose voice it is that